Hi everyone, if you use Wirecast or you're thinking about using Wirecast, there's a great new update, Wirecast 15, and that allows you to now capture in 4K. You could stream in 4K, but most of the time people are streaming in high definition, and if you're doing it with things like Teams and Zoom, then you are going to be using high definition. And if you've got a capture card like the Camlink 4K, you can capture in 4K. Now this isn't going to work on my A10 Mini because that's just 1080. So where this is useful is if you are live streaming in high definition, then you've got a lot more pixels if you're using 4K. So you've got double the amount. So you could zoom in by 200% 2 times without really losing any resolution, which is really quite handy. So you kind of get 2 cameras in one. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this. So I've actually got this right in front of me. So over here on my right, that's what's going out, and that's just my wide angle. And then this shot here, and I'm going to show you how to do this, you can zoom in. So I've zoomed in 200% here, and then I do this nice little transition, and if I click, you can see it kind of eases in and zooms in on me. And I can then just do the wide and come out like that. So if I'm zoomed in like this, and maybe you've got the shot and you've got 2 people sitting side by side, you could move it across, so you could have one shot like that. Let me duplicate this. So I'm just right clicking. I've got this shot here. I could rename this. So maybe I'll call this one left. So I could rename the other one. Let's just quickly do that. Zoomed left. So if you had 2 people sitting next to each other, you could now kind of go backwards and forwards. So let's firstly zoom in here. Let's do that. And then I'm going to click here, and I am going to, and you can see, just nicely goes across like that. So one of the things you need to do to get that looking nice, I find, is to actually go to the menu at the top here where it says switch, and it's got smooth, and I chose ease in out. If it was linear, it would just be a hard stop start. So let's just do linear, and let's just go here, and you'll see it's moving across like that. It's not too bad because what I did, I chose the transition speed as slowest. Let's do normal. Let's go here, and you might just see it's a bit quick, looks a bit fake as well. So slowing it down, the ease in and out. Let's just go back here. I'll show you where that is. You go to the switch menu. I'm on smooth. I go to ease in out. And I then also go to my transition speed, and I go to the slowest here. So it's really quite easy to set up. So I actually did this by duplicating the shot. So let's just go here and add in a camera. So when I'm here on my layer, I can click on that plus sign. There's my device, the Camlink 4K video. Let's hit add, and that's absolutely fine for what it is. That's just the wide shot that I want. I'm going to right click. I'm going to choose duplicate shots. There we go. I could rename this as, because it's quite useful to have these named properly. So let's just do this as zoomed and click on OK. Now, I can adjust it by going onto the canvas here and then clicking and dragging the corners and so on and moving it around. But you could also do it by typing it in here. If I wanted to double it, it would be 3840, zoomed out 1920. The aspect ratios are locked, so it's keeping those in. But you could choose something, you know, in between if you wanted, if you know what the number is that you want. And there you go. So that's a different one. And you could move it around. You can adjust the position here if you want to get it just right. You can do things like rotate it if you want, and maybe you want to do that. But I don't think you're going to really want to do that for something like this. And then you could just keep duplicating and have different shots to accommodate what you want to do. So this is really useful if I'm doing something like a conference and maybe I want to leave the camera locked off where the speakers are going to be. but each speaker might be a different height. So I can adjust it for the tallest and then just set all the others to kind of zoom in a little bit for the different heights of each of the people. If I've got panelists and I've maybe got 2 or 3 people sitting next to each other, maybe even more, I could then set it up as I showed you, where it can actually move so you're panning from side to side. So you can zoom in like 200% and not really lose any resolution because you're only transmitting in high definition. Maybe you can go a little bit more, but I wouldn't go too much because maybe the image would start to look a bit soft, and perhaps maybe people might even start to notice the pixels on it as well if you go a little bit too over the top, but experiment with it. So this is really useful because then I don't necessarily need to put up 2 cameras, because then I don't need to have the wide angle and maybe a zoomed in version. Or if I do have 2 cameras, it's going to give me even more option. What's quite useful is if I happen to be on my own, I won't have to necessarily be behind the camera adjusting it as well. At the same time, I can do it all directly through Wirecast. Now you can do this with OBS, the latest version that I've also got, which is over here. And this is OBS 27. You can do the same thing. So in Wirecast, this does do this a little bit better because you get that nice, smooth kind of zoom or pan. This is just a transition. That's a cut, which you could just do directly in Wirecast as well. You could make it just a cut. You could use stingers as well. But the thing about stingers is you're not really going to use those for conferences, maybe lectures and things like that, but you might do it for some sports events. Anyway, I've just changed this to now a fade for the transition. So the zoom is just like fade, like a cross dissolve, whereas Wirecast does it as that nice, smooth zoom or pan, which I really like. Of course, OBS is free and Wirecast isn't, but perhaps OBS will introduce this as well. Thanks for watching. I hope you found that really useful. If you do like this, please like, share and subscribe, and come back for more.